What's going on, all you Netrunner players out there? This is Shamar, aka Throne Runner, here again with another deck building video. It is an exciting time for Netrunner as we are into the second pack of the latest cycle. I believe Breaker Bay just released. Today is Thursday. Breaker Bay released this week in America. We're still waiting to get our hands on copies of it here in Canada, but thanks to the internet and thanks to sites like Netrunner DB, we are able to access cards and start throwing decks together, so that once we do get the pack, we can throw our decks in and get them going right away. So today we're going to be looking at a new deck using cards from Breaker Bay, and more specifically using the brand new runner that was released in Breaker Bay, Hayley Kaplan out of Shaper. As you can see here on the screen, she has Zero Link. She's a Universal Scholar, G-modded. The first time you install a card each turn, you may install another card of the same type from your grip, paying its install cost. She has a minimum deck size of 45 cards and 15 available influence. And so, in this pack, being that she's a Universal Scholar, they have a lot of fun themes going on where it's all about undergrad and going to college and things like that. So a buddy of mine, Jack Sheng, who is one of the, I guess, top tier players in the Toronto meta, decided to share one of his Shaper decks with me and actually allow me to discuss it here on my channel. So we're going to go through his deck. We're going to show you his ideas and discuss some of the cards that he threw in, why he threw them in there, and why I think this deck is going to be a problem for everyone that's matched up against him in Toronto. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the deck and take a look. So as usual, the way that I always build my decks is I just go through events, hardware, resource, icebreaker, programs, and just do it in order, or in the order that I already have the deck built, and then discuss the cards as they come. And then at the end of the deck build, once we have all of our 46 cards in this case in the deck, then we talk about the synergies and the types of things that you should look for when playing this deck. So right off the bat, I'm going to let you know that this is a deck that is very fast paced. You're trying to get your economy going very, very quickly and keep the pressure on, so that once you have your rig set up, you're able to just go and keep the corp on their heels. So in order to make sure that you're seeing what you need, the first card is Diesel. So we got 3 copies of Diesel. That just allows you to draw 3 cards. Next we've got, and going in alphabetical order, Dirty Laundry. Make a run. After the run is completed, gain 5 credits if it was successful, which would give you a net gain of 3, providing that you don't have to break anything. So usually this card is just being used on archives or open remote servers that you don't think are Jackson Howard. Next is a new card from the Breaker Bay pack, which is Game Day. It's a 1 cost double. If you have fewer cards in your grip than your maximum hand size, draw cards until you have cards in your grip equal to your maximum hand size. So we're going to see how that plays into this deck a little bit later, but already you can tell that it's a great card for when you're worried about, for example, being scorched next turn, or just damaging out and losing the game because you only have 1, maybe no cards left in your hand. You can play this and draw back up to your max right away. So that is Game Day. We have 3 copies of that. Next is Levy AR Lab Access, a card that everybody should be familiar with. Shuffle your grip and heap into your stack, draw 5 cards, remove Levy AR access from the game instead of trashing it. So it's pretty much a reset for Shaper because they like that recursion. Most Shaper decks only play 1 copy of Levy. It's interesting that this deck needs 2, and again, you will see why that's almost absolutely necessary. Moving forward, and the first of our influence is Lucky Find. As an additional cost to play this event, spend a click and gain 9 credits. So it's a net gain of 6 credits. However, you have to remember that it's a double and it costs you influence. Next is a card that I haven't seen used too much. in the meta. I think he was just waiting for the right time, and that's Power Nap, which is also a double. Gain 2 credits, gain an additional 1 credit for each double event that's already in your heap. So we've got 3 copies of that as well. As you already know, just based on these couple events that we've put in, we've already got 6 double events. So game day, 3 of those, and 3 lucky finds. And then on top of that, power naps are going to be in your heap as well. So you're going to be getting money off of the power naps that you've already used. Next is obviously Sure Gamble. This is an auto include in every deck. I don't think I've ever seen a deck that played without a Sure Gamble. And then another 4 influence is being used on Wanton Destruction. Make a run on HQ. If successful, instead of accessing cards, you may spend any number of clicks to force the corp to trash an equal number of cards from HQ at random. And that's just for a little bit of spice. Again, as you will see and come to understand a little bit later. Moving on to the hardware is another card that was just dropped in Breaker Bay. It gives you +1 memory. The first time you play an event each turn, you may play another event without spending a click after the first one resolves. So you can see here that you're trying to get money very quickly. This coupled with other cards in the deck will allow you to play 2 doubles in a turn without spending clicks. So 3 copies of that because you do want to see it. Next, to keep up the R&D pressure, rather than play Maker's Eyes, this deck uses R&D interfaces. Sorry about that. 2 copies. Whenever you access cards from R&D, access 1 additional card from R&D. So already you have the Wanton Destruction that's going to give you that HQ pressure, and then you have the R&D interfaces, which is going to help you dig through R&D faster. So that's it for the hardware. There's only 5 in the deck. Moving on to the resources, we've got Adjusted Chronotype, which was released in the Valley, a card that has made Noise decks even more viable because Wildside is free with this one. He opted to only go for 1 copy of Adjusted Chronotype. The first time you lose a click each turn, gain a click. And the reason why he went for just 1 is because the deck has a lot of draw built into it with diesels and with game day, and so you're gonna see your deck very quickly, and with Levy AR you're gonna be cycling through it, and so seeing things like Adjusted Chronotype, even though you have 1 copy, it's gonna be very, very likely that you see it. Moving on, we've got All Nighter, a card that I always wonder why no one played it, and excuse me, I'm kind of sick, getting over a cold, so just bear with me. All Nighter, 0 cost resource. You trash it, or you spend a click and trash it to gain 2 clicks. So already you can see that that is something that can be used with Wanton Destruction and with Hayley's ability to get more than 1 out per turn very, very quickly. So that's All Nighter. Next is another card from Breaker Bay, excuse me, called Beach Party. A 0 cost resource. When your turn begins, lose a click. Your maximum hand size is increased by 5. So you play this card out. Obviously, Netrunner hand size starts off capped at 5. When you have Beach Party, it now becomes 10. When you play a game day, you're going to be drawing, depending on how many cards you have in your hand, you could be drawing up to 10 cards on a single turn. So like I said, you're seeing your deck very quickly, playing more than 1 game day. Sorry, not playing more than one game day. Having game day played on consecutive turns is going to let you get through that deck. You're going to be seeing your things like Adjusted Chronotype and the other one-ofs that I'm going to continue and show you are in the deck. So Beach Party, you want 3 of those because you do want this to be out as soon as possible. You're probably already wondering, well, if I'm playing a Beach Party and I'm going to be losing clicks and there's so many doubles already being played in this deck, then it seems like you're not going to get a real opportunity to actually experience your turns and keep the pressure on. But as we continue, you'll see what his strategy is in making sure that you're getting the most out of your turn. So Gene Conditioning Shop, which also came out in the Valley, is a 2 cost resource. Genetics also trigger the second time each turn that their trigger condition is met. He only plays 1 copy of that. which means that now you are able to have adjusted chronotype fire off twice, which is pretty crazy. So the first and second time that you lose a click, you're going to gain a click and keep 4 clicks for your turn, which is nasty in itself. Continuing on, because the Sentry Breaker in this deck is Switchblade, which is stealth. He runs 3 copies of Ghost Runner, place 3 credits on Ghost Runner when it is installed. When there are no credits left on Ghost Runner, trash it. You can use the credits on Ghost Runner during a run. So this is a stealth card, which means you can use Ghost Runner's 3 credits to help boost and use Switchblade during a run. So 3 copies of that, because obviously Switchblade is the only Sentry Breaker and you need a way to pay for it. Continuing on is Starlight Crusade funding, and this is why you need to have Gene Conditioning Shop in the deck. Starlight Crusade funding, there's only 1 copy of it as well. When your turn begins, lose a click. Ignore any additional costs on each double event you play. So you have Starlight Crusade funding and Starlight Crusade funding and Beach Party popping off every turn. So Beach Party is keeping your hand up at 10, and Starlight Crusade funding is making it so that when you play a double, instead of costing you 2 clicks, because the second click is an additional cost, they're going to cost you only 1 click. So a very important card to have out, and a very important card to see or try to see every game. And like I've said, I think this is the 3rd time now, you are going to see these cards because you're drawing through your deck so quickly. And lastly, for the resources, is a Utopia Shard, again to keep up that central pressure. So you have your R&D interfaces, you're going to be able to get into R&D pretty easily, and so this is just a way to keep the pressure on HQ, coupled with Wanton Destruction. So whenever you make a successful run on HQ, instead of accessing cards, you may install Utopia Shard from your grip, ignoring all costs. If you trash Utopia card from play, once it's already been installed, the corp discards 2 cards from HQ at random, meaning that the runner gets to choose them as if you're doing net damage to the corp. And you can only have 1 copy of that because it's limit 1 per deck. So onto the Breaker Suite. Because this deck's gonna have so much money, you're playing Snowball as your Fractor. 1 credit to break barrier subroutine, 1 credit to boost the strength. And whenever you use Snowball to break a subroutine, it has +1 strength for the remainder of the run. So that's why it's called Snowball. It's kind of a snowball effect. It gets stronger as it goes, or bigger as it goes. So 1 Snowball, and then Study Guide is another card that was dropped in Breaker Bay. Again, that's just 1 copy, and this is a fantastic Code Gate breaker, as if Shaper didn't have enough already between Gordian Blade and Zoo. Study Guide has +1 strength for each power counter on it, 1 credit to break a Code Gate subroutine, 2 credits to place 1 power counter on Study Guide. And this deck has a lot of money, so that's not going to be an issue in bumping Study Guide up to whatever strength you need it for the game. It'll cost as little as you need or as much as you need. It doesn't really matter. You can make this card able to get through anything without spending clicks to do so. It's just spending money to get power counters on it, and getting a power counter off a card is impossible at this point in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a card that's going to stay in play and pretty much screw over any Code Gate that the Corp plays, providing that you have enough money to boost it up to whatever strength you need it to get to, and it's going to stay at that strength for the game. So once you spend the money the first time, you don't have to worry about spending it again to boost it up. It's going to stay at that strength because of its ability. So +1 strength for each power counter on it. Spend $2 to place 1 power counter on Study Guide. And then lastly, as I already said, is the Switchblade, which used up the last 2 influence, and Switchblade is freaking immaculate. It's a 3-cost breaker. Spend 1 credit to break any number of sentry subroutines. Use this ability only by spending a credit from a stealth card, so Ghost Runner, for example, and then I'll show you the other stealth card, which is Cloak, that you can use to pay for this. And then 1 credit gives Switchblade +7 strength. Unbelievable. Use this ability only by spending a credit from a stealth card. Craziness. Straight craziness. So 1 copy of each of those breakers, and then lastly, the last 4 cards in the deck to round it out at 46 are, like I said, 2 cloaks. There we go. 2 cloaks. 1 recurring credit. Use this to pay for icebreakers, so it's a stealth card. It's recurring every turn. Oops. I always do that with this builder. So 2 cloaks, and then finally 2 SMCs to help you get those breakers out as you need them. And so that is the deck rounded out at 46 cards and exactly 15 influence. So moving back to the synergies or the combos in this deck and what you're kind of looking for, the basis of this deck, or the most important cards in this deck, are Game Day. Again, it's the double that's going to let you draw up to your maximum hand size. Most players play at a maximum hand size of 5. However, with Beach Party, it increases your maximum hand size by 5, so long as you're losing a click at the beginning of your turn, such as you would with Wild Side. So your hand size becomes maximum hand size becomes 10, and so when you play Game Day, you're drawing back up to 10, so long as you don't have 10 cards in your hand. And you're probably thinking, well, that sucks because now I only have 3 clicks to use. But you have adjusted chronotype in the deck to make sure that the first time you lose a click each turn, you get it back. So whenever you trigger Beach Party, adjusted chronotype makes it so that it's as if it never happened. You still get the maximum 10 card hand size, but you also get the 4 clicks. On top of that, Starlight Crusade funding. When your turn begins, lose a click. Ignore any additional costs on each double event you play. So when you play, for example, Lucky Find, rather than it costing you 2 clicks, it only costs you 1. And again, you're not worried about the fact that you're losing a click at the beginning of your turn because you have Gene Conditioning Shop in the deck. So genetics also trigger the second time each turn their trigger condition is met. That means that adjusted chronotype is able to pop off twice. Once to protect you from losing the click on Beach Party, and then once again to protect you from losing the click on Starlight Crusade funding. So every turn you're still going to have 4 clicks. However, you're going to have a hand size of 10, and you're going to have the ability to play doubles using only a single click rather than 2 clicks. So doubles are no longer doubles. In terms of econ, you have Lucky Finds, which are always a great economy card, even better now because you're not spending 2 clicks to play it. On top of that, you have Power Nap, which is going to give you $2 plus an additional credit for every double that's already been played and sitting in your heap. So this deck is going to generate a lot of money, and it's going to generate a lot of money very quickly. On top of that, you have the Dirty Laundries to help you gain money as well. Continuing on with the all-nighters coupled with Wanton Destruction. So again, that is a lot of synergy right there. You're playing all-nighters, they're coming out on the field, you trash it to get an additional click. So say you have 3 all-nighters out, you trash all 3 of them and make a Wanton Destruction run. So that means you would have 7 clicks. You're running on HQ using Wanton Destruction, which would leave you with 5 clicks. And then once Wanton Destruction triggers, if you make a successful run, you're able to spend those 5 clicks or however many clicks you choose to force the corp to lose cards at random from their hand. So if you did do it that way, where you had 3 all-nighters out, you made the Wanton Destruction run, and you spent all 5 of those clicks to discard cards from the corp's hand, that means they're dropping their entire hand into archives, and they really can't do anything about it. So that is the synergy there. That's what you really want to use your Wanton Destruction on. I would advise against playing Wanton Destruction on a regular turn and kind of just using it to discard 3 cards from the corpse hand. I would always try to couple it with the all-nighter, but There will be cases where it's totally a good idea just to get those 3 cards trashed from the corpse hand. For example, if they're on game point, or you see that they've played, I don't know, anything that makes them look like they're ready to fast advance, or they're building up a scoring serve that you're worried that you won't be able to get into. That's kind of the times that you want to make sure that you're trashing stuff from their hand. Then looking at Comet in terms of econ again. So the first time you play a card from your hand, you're able to play, an event card from your hand, you're able to play the second one for free. So you can play 2 lucky finds on a single turn, only using 1 click instead of using all 4. I don't know how much else I can say about that. That is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't know. There's nothing else I can really say about it. I mean, if you don't think that that's great, then you have an issue. This is a game all about economy. Usually the player with the money and the ability to do whatever he wants is the one that wins. And so having Comet out with all of these resources and the ability to play doubles like she can, then you're in good shape. That being said, in order to get all these resources out, there are a lot of resources in this deck. You don't really need to worry about it because you do have Hayley's ability to trigger. So again, the first time you install a card each turn, you may install another card of the same type from your grip. So if I play Adjusted Chronotype, for example, it's a resource, so that's the card type. I play my Adjusted Chronotype and I have, I don't know, an All-Nighter in my hand. I'm able to play that All-Nighter on the same turn, and not have it cost me a click. So this is a deck that's all about efficiency and playing cards in a single turn without using clicks. So people probably wonder why, and I've seen comments as to why would you play Hayley over playing Kate, and that right there is the reason. She's able to get so many things out on the table so fast and build up her rig very, very, very quickly. So I think you need to keep that in mind when you're playing this deck and not worry so much about getting all of your combo pieces on the table as soon as possible, because if you just keep playing the deck as it is, the way that it was built to be played, you will see what it is you need to see. There are more than enough ways to get all of your stuff on the table and see all of the cards in the deck and keep the pressure up. So I think this is going to be a very, very fast-paced deck. It's going to be a deck that has a lot of money at its disposal, and it's going to be very hard for the corporation to counter this deck because it is moving so quickly, and at the same time it is a very, very dynamic deck. So I think the corp might have, or will have, a lot of trouble in keeping pace with this deck in terms of economy. And then once this rig gets set up and the Hayley player has their econ set up, it's hard to stop because of how efficient, I guess that you can say that these are pretty efficient, because once you pay for them the first time, they're pretty much out there and doing their job. Plus then the Shaper player also has the Levy AR lab access in order to regenerate those power naps, regenerate those lucky finds, and play all those things over. But then the second time that they play them over, their resources are already set up and they're playing their doubles and doing whatever the heck they want to do the most efficient way possible. So like I said, I think this is going to be a very fast-paced deck. I think it's going to be a very fun deck to play. I probably wouldn't recommend it for newer players to Netrunner because there is a lot of thinking involved. It's not one of those, I guess, autopilot decks. It's one where you have to be on your toes. You have to make sure that you're hitting all your triggers and not forgetting things like Adjusted Chronotype and Starlight Crusade Funding, etc. So it's a deck for, I guess, more cerebral players and more advanced players. That's not to say that if I was a new player, I wouldn't want to try this out, because this is the type of deck that gets you into Netrunner. This is the type of deck that makes you realize the capabilities of this game and how you can pretty much mold any runner, any identity, to do what it is you want to do. So there's so many other ways that you can play Hayley. This is just one of them. But at the end of the day, I just really think this is a fantastic deck, a very, very fun deck. And I know it's one that Jack's been very excited to play, and he's been waiting for Breaker Bay for a long time after seeing the spoilers. So I'm excited to see him play it. In terms of myself playing it, I've been messing with Anarch a lot, as you guys know, and I told him that I would give it a shot. I'm gonna be playing Shaper and HB at the tournament this weekend, and I'll be recording those matches and uploading them along with this deck build video so that you can see the deck in action. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have a video of him playing the deck as well, with myself, Corbin, because obviously he is the creator and he is the master of what he has put together here. But I'm still going to try it myself, so look out for that this weekend. Like I said, today is Thursday. The tournament is in 2 days, so I'm hoping to have the video footage up by Sunday. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to email it to myself. If I can't field your questions, I'll definitely forward it to him and hit you up with an answer as soon as possible. So again, hope you enjoyed, and I hope to hear from you guys in the near future. So peace out. Thanks again.